Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 3 of the TURD Podcast, also known as the Trail Ultrarunning Race Directors Podcast. I'm your host, Shalini Bhajjan, and I'm excited to share that this episode is presented by the American Trail Running Association. Before we dive into today's conversation, we have a quick message from Nancy Hobbs, ATRA's Executive Director. Hi, Nancy. Thanks for joining me. If you could tell us a little bit about what the American Trail Running Association does, that would be great.
Hi, and thanks a lot. This is very exciting for us to be part of your podcast and really appreciate this. So the American Trail Running Association was founded in 1996. The mission is to represent and promote trail running, mountain running, and ultra trail running. And we have a lot of different resources, including a podcast directory. We have a trail news section and an online calendar with over 12,000 historically events that you can search. So there's something for everybody in the calendar for sure. Each year we have at least 5,000 confirmed event dates. And that's kind of one of our main drivers, but we do so much more. And really excited to be part of the podcast again.
So what's the website? Just quickly give me a website.
Trailrunner.com.
All right. Thank you, Nancy. Now on to our guest. I'm thrilled to welcome Gary Cantrell, better known as Lazarus Lake, the visionary behind Barkley Marathons, Big Dogs, Backyard Ultra, and other legendary endurance events that continue to redefine the limits of ultra running. So let's dive in. Welcome to the podcast, Laz.
Thanks for asking me.
I appreciate you talking to me. So I would like to start from the very beginning, before Barkley, before the Backyard Loops. Who is Gary Cantrell?
He's an old hillbilly who lives in the woods.
Where did you grow up? Have you always been in Tennessee? Southern roots?
No, when I was a kid, we moved a lot. I went to 10 different schools along the way. I was the kid who came in the middle of one year and left in the middle of the next.
So, if you were like, what region, or primarily where were you through those years, and what was that transition like as a young adult or as a young kid, I guess?
Everywhere from Washington State to Tennessee.
Wow.
And places in between.
So Tennessee, would you say Tennessee is where you spent most of your adulthood, school, and college and career?
Yes, I went to high school in Tennessee here in Tullahoma, and after a little wandering around, ended up not on purpose, but just by accident in Bedford County, Tennessee. And
Gotcha.
I've been there or nearby pretty much ever since.
Okay. School, where did you go to college, and what was the real world job before race directing came about?
I went to several colleges. They usually didn't want me back for a second year. And did ultimately get a degree in accounting and worked as an accountant for 30-something years.
Yeah. And so was that where you retired and then got into race directing, or was that sort of simultaneously happening before you dived into full-time race directing?
I put on the Strolling Jim was the first ultra I put on in 1979.
Sure.
And then in between then and 2011, I directed various races, the Barkley and the Vol State Road race.
Yeah.
From 1980 on, and just different ones. It was under the old standard. Originally, race directing wasn't like a job. It was you did it and budgeted it carefully so that you didn't lose so much money that you got in trouble at home and you didn't make any money so that no one had grounds to complain.
Sure.
Then
Um,
in 2011, I had advanced far enough in accounting that when they had a regime change where I worked, I was flushed out with everything, with the old management, and ended up being, it was getting close to 60, a little bit old to be a desirable hire, which I kind of understand. Older people tend to get set in their ways, and so just look, I could retire, but I thought I'd looked for an, couldn't get a job. I thought, well, if I could do nothing else, I could surely get a job selling running shoes. But I applied to the local running store, and they told me that I would frighten their customers. And so
was that
I
strictly because of the looks, or was there some underlying reason there?
I don't know. I didn't want to delve too deep into that.
Sure.
I have resting homeless face. Even if you clean up and put me in a suit, I look like a homeless person that's been cleaned up and put in a suit. It's just a gift, I guess. But I thought, well, I could take the races I was directing. Some like the Barkley. Yeah, the Barkley's never gonna make money because it's just not what it's intended to do.
Sure.
But you could put them on a profit basis. And I had been a volunteer coach at the high school for a long time,
Yeah.
and was familiar with that high school athletic teams. They have manpower and they need money, and races have money and they need manpower. So rather than following the model of using volunteers to make the race run, I enlisted high school teams, and then local civic uh, service organizations, and found ways to utilize them in the race, and then uh, used it as a fundraiser for those organizations. It
Yeah.
would be, it's has a lower profit margin than the normal race business is set up to run, but had the satisfaction of doing things that I thought was really worthwhile, and you would get enough to not dip into my retirement too quick in case
Sure.
that I made the mistake of living too long and used it all up. And as it's
Um,
turned out, I haven't dipped into my retirement at all. I've actually added to it instead.
that's a good thing. You're not just leaving a legacy, you're also leaving a little cushion for the kids and the grandkids.
Oh no, I hope to use it all up myself. let them let them make their own.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that either. So I'm gonna go back to family. Siblings. Were you one of how many siblings do you have? Are they still around? Are they all in Tennessee, general area?
Just my brother Doug, and he still lives in Tullahoma, where he was 4 years younger than me, so he spent a more significant part of his life there and stayed in the same school or
Gotcha.
school system for a longer period of time.
So
And
it's just you and your brother?
yeah, and
Okay.
he's retired just in the last few years, but he took his retirement seriously and retired.
Okay.
My retirement is like 100-hour work weeks.
With that, I would like to talk about Sandra. Most of the time I had just a brief, get to know her at Berkeley in 2018. but she seems to be a rock. All the events, just in the background. What year, how did you guys meet? What year did you meet? And then talk to me about your kids, and what your family uh, is like.
Well, if you talk about Sandra, I'm not going to protect you. You will have to defend yourself. I met her I guess 1980 at Middle Tennessee State accounting degree, and
And how
she has
old were you
been in
guys?
charge ever since.
So, how old were you when you guys first started going out?
We never actually went out. We just went to classes together, and then later on, um, moved into this. Well, she moved into the house where I was, and we've been there ever since.
So there was no courtship? Was it very much matter of factly?
I'm not really sure. It's it was brief.
Yeah. And then kids. Talk to me about family. How many kids do you have? And
Well,
grandkids.
I have all my kids are, I think the last one's fixing to get into her 40s now,
Yeah.
and three grandkids, the bean, the burrito, Ion.
Yeah. And how old are they? Are they under 5 or
Oh God. Now see, I'll fail this test. I'm thinking pretty sure 12, 7, and maybe 4.
okay.
They keep changing those numbers on me. But I think that the oldest one is just about to hit the delight of teenage years.
Middle school, yeah, yeah. And how many kids, you said your youngest is turning 40. So boys, girls?
Two girls and a boy.
Okay, so three
Although
kids.
I saw this morning that my youngest had gotten a piece of mail addressed to Christopher M. And so she put it, they have a little uh, text group with
Yeah,
the kids. And me and Sandra are on there mostly to keep quiet, but it's kind of nice. Your kids talk pretty much every day. And
sure.
so I made an exception and made a comment. I said, finally, the second son I never had, or the second son I always wanted.
Yeah. And are your kids in Tennessee?
No, Detroit, DC, and one in Tennessee.
Okay. Um, what's your, with your kids and running being such a huge part of your entirety of your adulthood, what do they think of all this? Do any of them run?
Case my son has several sub 24-hour hundreds to his credit.
Very nice.
And the middle one has done, I want to say 83 miles in a 24-hour run.
Sure.
And then the youngest, and she still runs. The youngest is like her mother and does not run, although she helps every year at the race for the ages,
Yeah.
at least a marathon during that,
Okay.
and maybe 30 miles.
Gotcha. So has Sandra ever been a runner or run walk, like any sort of active
She
sports?
walked for a while, and
Yeah.
she did do, I think she did 70 something miles at ARFTA one year.
Nice. Um, with that, I'm going to go into when were you first exposed to running? What age? How old were you? And just briefly give me a snippet of going from that to your very first competitive event.
Yeah. In 1966, in October, they had a like a news story on one of the networks about
Yeah.
this family in Texas that did this thing called jogging. And I always look at that as being the first running boom because a lot of people started doing like a mile or so every day. And my dad and his friends were going to the high school track and doing a mile every day.
Sure.
And so I went with him and I could actually beat him at the mile. And so I went as long as he went, and then I just continued to run off and on after that. The first race I ran was a mile race in PE at in the ninth grade.
Yeah.
And I was second. Pat Daniels beat me. I ran a 5:26 mile.
Very
And
nice.
because I thought I could run it because that I ran off and on, but I think the longest I would ever run would be maybe 2 or 3 miles.
Sure.
And then the next fall, in starting my sophomore year, when all my plans to become a great football star were crippled by the fact that I was 5 feet tall and weighed 70 pounds and was slow and not very athletic. I went out for cross country because that was the only sport in high school that there was a place for me on the team, and cross country took everybody and then let the difficulty of the practices weed people
Sure.
out. We had a really good coach. We had consistently a good track team and a strong cross country team. Finished as high as third in the state.
Yeah.
Uh, Running was a good sport because even if you have no talent, you can achieve mediocrity with hard work. And I did make the varsity team, and so and had a few small successes at track.
Sure.
Unfortunately, I would have been like the star distance runner on a lot of the weak teams, but I was on a strong team with really strong distance runners. So we had a depth of better runners than me.
Do you think that challenged you to push yourself?
Um, it I was good about training hard. I
Yeah.
worked hard and I was in good shape. I think retrospectively, probably I left a lot of my best races in training because I had a tendency to overtrain. I'm not a day off kind of person.
Right.
And but after high school, after a rather an unfocused period of time, I got back to running again, and what few races were available, I ran. I in 74, 75, I found the Memphis Runners Club in Memphis.
Yeah.
Yeah, I ran into a guy named Arnold Weiner who has just recently passed away. I was the first time I ever saw someone else running, and I saw him pass up ahead at right angles to the road I was on. And I thought, he's running. He's not running from something. He's not trying to catch something. He's actually just running. So I
Yeah.
busted my ass and ran him down and then talked to him. And he was told me about the Memphis Runners, which had just recently formed, and oh, running was exploding.
Yeah.
It was another running boom. So I became member number 12 in the Memphis Runners, which they
Yeah.
probably had 30 or 35 people in the club by the time that I moved away and moved to Kentucky.
Gotcha. Are they still around? Do you know?
Uh, the the only names I remember Arnold Wiener because he was the first runner that I met other than
Sure.
myself, outside of seeing people in races.
Yeah.
And then there was a John Mohundro, and there's probably still Mohundros in Memphis because that was a running family. But yeah, back then he was in his 50s and still running sub 3 hour marathons, which
Well,
was mind bending.
yeah.
So since he was in his 50s, then he would have to be about 100 years old now. So I don't know that he's still
So
don't know
let
that he's still around.
yeah. So I'm gonna go back to what you said that you're not good at you were overtraining. So you're kind of known for your streaking. Um, and do you think that had something to do with then going into longer endurance sports and that particular habit, I guess, or ritual, did that then impact or factor into the races that you have created?
I liked to train and compete, but I wasn't particularly good. So I kept moving up to longer and longer races.
Yeah,
And running the marathon, I realized my limitations, the over 3 hour crowd, which wasn't the level of success I wanted. So I just, I look at it and say the good marathoners run faster per mile on average
yeah,
than I can run for a single mile if it's the focus event of my year. So I I thought ultras would be the place that I could be good. And ultimately, I think my optimum distance for my performance compared to other people was around 20 miles.
gotcha.
But my best 20 was 2 hours and 4 minutes. So
Okay,
not anything outstanding. Um, but in order to have an ultra marathon to run in, the closest one for me to compete in was either in New York City or Miami.
yeah,
And I couldn't fathom traveling that far for an event, nor could I afford it back then.
sure.
So I started the strolling gym, and the by the time the first strolling gym was over, I recognized that I wasn't even as good at ultras as I was at marathons. But I had enjoyed and done a good job organizing the event.
Sure.
So I continued organizing, sought to be better at different things. Went into multi-day running for a while,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'm a better organizer than runner.
Okay. So strolling gym, how many years has that been around? Because that's almost a grandfather race. What year was it
This
officially
next
not
spring will be the 48th,
very nice?
and
And
then I'm
has there been,
hoping to try it again on the 50th year, although
yeah,
it will probably take me until sometime the next day to finish.
um, has that course seen any change from the very first time that you race directed, or has it stayed the same?
Well, no, it was mostly dirt roads
Yeah,
in the old days, dirt, gravel.
sure.
It had a lot of places where there weren't bridges over the creeks. Now it's all paved, and it used to be a lot of empty countryside, and now there's lots of houses.
Yeah,
Some of the rough places that people were a little antsy about running through because of the people who did live there.
yeah.
Now they're like fancy subdivisions with big houses.
Sure. With that, I guess I would like to know, you said Lazarus Lake is a persona. And I feel like as race directors, we're constantly going in between our real lives and our work personas. Um, why, when, and how that emerged?
It's not really a persona. It's just a nickname for the same person. When email started, everybody's first email was your email at work.
Yeah,
And it had your email address was either your title or your name and your title.
sure.
And then it reached a point where people started having personal emails and you would get personal. I think most people probably were like me. At first, you just got the rare personal email at work because that was your email account.
Sure.
And the then the volume of email, of course, steadily increased. And I looked one day and thought, well, I have too much personal email in my work email. I need to get my own email for this.
Yeah.
And I got my son to help me because he was the computer expert. I am still not the strongest person with the technology. Me talking to you on a Zoom meeting is no small miracle. And also happens because I only have to click a link and
Yeah.
then hit what? Turn it on and join. So 3 clicks, I'm up for that.
Right.
And they're words instead of pictures. If they had those stupid damn pictures that everything has now, I'd never figure out how to get in.
Yeah.
I unfortunately learned to communicate with actual words. I can read and write, you know.
Sure. So I guess that was when your
So
son
when he
created.
added that email account,
Yeah.
I started to put my name in there. And then I thought, nah, I don't totally trust this email stuff. You know, what happens to my email at work? That's work's problem. That's
Right.
IT. Let IT work. But so I thought, I just need to put a name on there so that's something that people that when I sent an email out, if it went to people I knew, they'd know who it was from. And if someone was snatching it out of the space,
Sure.
they wouldn't know whose email it was. So I just put the name Lazarus Lake on there just because.
Right. So was there any thought to that, or was it just on a whim, like this sounds good?
No, I had seen that name before and thought it
Yeah.
was a cool name then. That was during a journey run back in the early 80s. And it just popped into my head like things pop into my head. And I put it down, and then you go along and you pretty soon email was something you're on all the time. That's how you
Sure.
communicate. The piles of mail in my mailbox went away and started appearing in my home computer.
Yeah.
And then the Ultra List came along, and I joined the Ultra List in the first social media.
Yeah.
And I would write stuff, and I started to say who I really was, but I'd been writing for ultra running for years and directing races, and it just already had been around a long time. And I thought, I don't want people to think that I think I know everything. So they'll just see this Lazarus Lake name and not give what I have to say any more credit than anyone else gets. But eventually I realized, oh, hell, lots of people think my name actually is Lazarus Lake.
Yeah.
And it seemed rude to dispel that misconception. So
Sure.
I mean, if someone says Laz, it's not a common name, so I know they're talking to me.
Right. Does it ever like? I guess when you're responding outside of a race setting, is it always Gary or is it Laz?
Outside of running, it would always be Gary, except now that people, my mother used to call me Laz to tease me.
Yeah.
And my family, when they say Laz, they're teasing me,
Gotcha.
giving me a hard time.
Yeah. So here's a question for you. What does Laz allow you to say and do that Gary might not?
Oh, either one of them. If sober, I might say or do anything.
So there is nothing that you feel when you're Laz or, in that role of race directing that, you're able to voice better than you are as Gary.
And I've never had really good filters. I tend to speak my mind and not care what people think.
Sure. And that's a good way to live.
Well, if I guess for you yourself, maybe not for the people that hear it sometimes. I
I think
always
you
think
kind of,
sometimes people, you always have to listen to what people tell you
sure.
because your real friends will tell you what you need to hear instead of what you want to hear.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And that's why they're real friends and people you count on. With that,
No,
I'm
I
gonna go
hate
back.
them forever.
Yeah, that's they could take your bullshit. So,
Yeah,
um,
I bear grudges.
don't we all? I think I've got a few myself. Um, with that, I'm gonna go back to your writing. What year was that, and how did that was that more just a passion project, or you felt like as you were running and creating all these events, you had, I guess, something to add, or your voice had to be echoed?
No, now I've always written stuff, but I would write on pieces of scrap paper
Sure.
and then put them in a box. And when the box was full, I would dump it in the trash. Um, Ultra Running magazine came out, and I guess I would have heard it sometime in the spring of 1880.
Yeah.
And I'm a voracious reader and had so my subscription budget was already strained to its limit with had was getting several, the New York Times and the local paper and the Nashville paper and Science News and just different publications. I had too many publications.
Yeah.
And I thought, ooh, another $10 a year. I can't afford this. So I wrote to him and offered to write a monthly column just to in exchange for a subscription.
Yeah.
Because whenever I saw new publications, I always wanted them.
Sure.
Out of insanity or maybe desperation for content, they accepted it. And I wrote some really abysmal articles and paid careful attention to how they were edited. They didn't edit a lot, but you could use the editing and look at other things other people wrote who were better writers and try to use that to instruct yourself and do a better job.
Yeah.
I don't know that I ever got any better, but
You're still writing for
but
Ultrarunning
I enjoy
magazine.
writing stuff down.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. So at what, I mean, were they ever paying you, or was it always in exchange of a subscription?
Later on,
Yeah,
they started paying for the articles, and that became my running budget. And I
yeah,
would put all of that into a special fund to see how much money I could afford to spend on races. You have a
yeah,
family, and you have to feed them, and you just have to be responsible with your money. But I figured my extra money
Yeah.
that I got for writing those articles. And then yeah, I would wear other people's used shoes
Yeah.
and would swap writing a story about the race for race entries and otherwise figure out ways to not make an intolerable drain on the family budget with my bad habit.
I call that the side hustle fund. That's how we pay for race entry. Um, uh, with that, I guess I would like to transition into race directing. Strolling Jim, you said, was the very first race you ever race directed. What came after?
Probably the Vol State. The Vol State, I always say it started in 1980, but in 1980 it was just me.
Gotcha.
And I wanted to run from Alabama to Kentucky. It's
Yeah.
140 miles. And it seemed like, yeah, I can just do that. I didn't know anything about journey running. I went in October thinking, well, if it's not real hot in the daytime and not real cold at night, then that would be the best time of year. Now I understand middle of the summer, you can live with the heat during the day, but when you've been out in the sun all day at night, it can get really cold.
Yeah.
I had no water bottle, nothing like that. I got shorts, a t-shirt, running shoes, and a nylon windbreaker with a hole cut in the pocket so I could put some money in it. And I learned a lot of lessons.
Yeah.
I I did do 64 miles in under 12 hours to get
Nice.
near the halfway point. And
Sure.
then I went, but I did that so I could get to a bar and stop and watch the Oklahoma Texas game on TV. And people found out what you were doing. You were offered lots of beers, which you should not drink all the beers you're offered.
It's,
And when I went back out, I was a little tipsy and a little stiff. And then it started to rain, and it rained all night, and it was cold as holy hell. And my feet came apart because I didn't know how to take care of my feet. And ultimately, I made it 93 miles in like 23 hours and had to call for a ride. I actually understand now I didn't need to call for that ride. I was nowhere near the limit of what you can endure, but that you also have to learn along the way.
yeah. So who was
And
your ride?
so
If
when I told people I was going to ride home, is how do I do this next time and get it
yeah,
right? And so I was telling people I'm going to run across, they're going to run across. And everyone would say, oh man, tell me when you do it. I want to go.
yeah,
And then you look and you have so many people want to do it. I thought, well, let's just do it as a race.
yeah.
I have an advantage. I have experience. And so that just became the Vol State.
Yeah.
And
How many people did you have, like the first group of people that you ran with before your solo attempt?
it went along from 1981 through around 2000. It could be anywhere from 2 people to 16. I think
Yeah,
1986 or 87, we had 16. That was our biggest field until the early 2000s. And then
yeah,
all of a sudden, one year we had 18, and the next year 35. And I had to go from, well, we'll get together and drive a car and all in cars to the start to, oh man, we're gonna have to get buses and motel rooms, and
yeah,
it became a big production to put it on. And you sat down and figured, okay, it's all budgeted out. I need 65 entrants to
yeah,
break even. And man, we sweated until we got right at 65. Because I still didn't want to lose a bunch of money. That
Sure,
makes
sure.
me really unpopular at home. And I always managed to do my running without it at least costing much money.
Yeah. So with
Maybe a couple of medical bills along the way, but
yeah, I'm sure. So, Wall State, as you called it, a journey race, would you say HOTS is similar in its
HOTS is like the advanced version of the
okay.
Vol State. The Vol State, around 2000, we settled on the current course. It had been run over a number of courses. When Richard Westbrook did the 140-mile version in under 24 hours, it changed the nature of it because you used to have to figure out where to sleep on the way. So
Right.
we bumped up the distance and bumped up the distance and then ran a variety of different courses because I enjoyed doing different journeys.
Yeah.
And then we got the ferry across the Mississippi River and starting in Missouri and running to the mountaintop in North Georgia. We settled on it, and it's become, people along the route have embraced the race and the runners, and some of them have elaborate setups that
Yeah.
are really virtually aid stations they call them angel stations.
Yeah.
And so we it became so popular we blew up ultra running or ultra sign up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And the ultra sign up system failed, and it took twice as many entries as we had spots. And so we split off, and it was time for something that went back to the adventure of the early days. So
Yeah.
HOTS, it's like a Vol State, but the course is different every year. And when they get on the
Gotcha.
tour buses at the Rock, they don't know where it's going to start.
Yeah. So what are your permits like
And
for both Wall State and HOTS?
what are the what's like?
The permit, like permitting for these events.
Those are actually, they are journey runs like I like to take my
Sure.
transcons and the run from Panama City to Key West, which is finishing up something I couldn't do the entirety of during the pandemic because it started in Canada.
Yeah.
And so all we really do is provide those logistics that make it possible to do a journey run. And then because there are a lot of people doing the same journey at the same time,
Yeah.
you have more support among yourselves. In the Vol State, of course, you have the support that's built up all along the course. HOTS, the first runner that goes through, people just see it and they think, why is a homeless person running through town?
Yeah.
And then they see another one and they say, what? By the third one, someone will
Catch
ask,
on.
what the hell's going on?
Yeah.
And then they tell them, oh, we're racing from Cape Girardeau, Missouri to Castle Rock, Georgia. And before you know it, there's people setting coolers out by the road with something in them to drink, or a church will open up and let everybody know you could stop here and rest.
Yeah.
Different things. So you don't have to have a permit to walk down the road.
Sure. Sure.
We
I
don't
didn't
have
know if
no police protection, no
gotcha.
traffic control. We do study. That was part of my trip last week. Was we spent 3 days going over next summer's HOTS race,
Yeah.
and tried to nail down a course that's as safe as it can reasonably be.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not safe on our highways, even in a car.
No. No. So there's a screwed and a crude category. Does that just stick with Wall State, or HOTS has that as well?
Well, the Vol state has dropped the crude category
All right.
because it puts the crews actually create more of a hazard than if they don't exist because there's more
Gotcha.
traffic on the road. You can talk to them till you're blue in the face. You can't
Oh, yeah.
necessarily stop rolling handoffs and stuff like that. So the and with all the angel stations,
Sure.
there's not really a need for a crew anymore. By the time you get late in the race where those stations are further apart, the runners, even if they were novices coming in, they kind of know what's up now, and they can carry enough to get them to the next place.
Next spot. Yeah. Um, so I guess let's get into Race for Ages. It's a unique concept, and it also gives a lot of you know, elderly, or I should say grandfathered athletes to it's an opportunity for them to knock out a distance. Talk to me a little bit about that concept and how that race came about. What was the drive there?
Well, the drive was, and I couldn't make cutoffs anymore. And a
Yeah,
lot of my friends, the ones that are still with us, from the old days, they can't make cutoffs anymore.
sure.
And so we get together. I think last year we had, it's pretty much every year, around 40 people that are over 70. The oldest guy was 93. And you get 1 hour for every year you are old after 40. 40
Yeah,
and under, they get 40 hours. And I studied the performance charts and stuff and thought, this is going to work out pretty even. And it has. The winner has ranged from 49 years old to like 75.
yeah,
So you always get down by the end. You have some old slow guys with the young fast ones trying to run them down. We finish at noon on Labor Day. And then you just count back however many hours to your start.
yeah,
And lots of people get one more 100. Lots of us old guys still like to do 100.
sure.
It's really hard because if you run, you can't make cutoffs in time in the open races, the courses that go from here to there. So you run loop races.
Yeah,
But on a lot of those small loop, the time races, the 24-hour or the 48s or whatever, you're so slow. If you hug the inside lane, then people have to go around you like twice a lap.
yeah,
And you hate to do that to them. But if you move out, then you're running unnecessary distance when you're already slow. So ARFTA, you get your age group record set.
yeah,
For the really fast people, the course is a little too serpentine. Um, if you run really fast, then the turns would be more of a bother. And
yeah,
the guys like me, yeah, those turns are not a problem. We go around those turns without flying off the track.
sure.
We do not
Um,
no longer need bank curves.
yeah. So, I mean, with that again, it's a race that just as you said, gives an opportunity to athletes to still be able to run the distance. And how frequently do you see records, like age group records, come about?
There's lots of age group records, so those get set pretty frequently. But I think what really makes the Arctic special is just it's a reunion. All us old
Yeah,
guys get together and we're out front and you have so many hours that it's just us out there.
sure.
When the 40-year-old group comes and lines up to start, the 40 and under, they give them pacifiers.
Hang this till you hang up.
And it's part of it is hard because when you have 40 or more people over between 70 and 100 years old every year, you know that pretty much every year, not everybody's back.
Sure.
But that's a part of life. Nobody's guaranteed tomorrow, but if you're over 70, the even the promise is a lot smaller.
Yeah.
But
Majority of your life is behind you.
you get a new crop of 70-year-olds every year to replace the ones you lose, and we really enjoy being out there. People will try to keep getting one more 100, and there'll finally come a year when they can't get 100 anymore, even with that extra hour.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then they say, I wish I could still do 100, but I'm just so happy that I can still be out here.
Sure.
And I think the young people that don't come really miss out on a chance to talk with people that have been there and done that, and just it's a celebration of living.
Yeah. So with that, let's move on. And I don't want to eat up because there's so much out there for Berkeley. Um, Tell me what was what was the reasoning behind Berkeley?
No, we it was there. I did a lot of backpacking
Yeah.
until, I guess, by 60, sleeping on the ground wasn't fun anymore. I'm not really a backpacker. But I love to backpack up in the mountains, and in my day we went lots of places that there was nobody there, and you have your collection of fellow backpackers that you would go with. We used to go to Frozen Head back in the 70s, and even then I saw those trails on the topo map,
Yeah.
and most backpackers are kind of reasonable about things like contour lines.
Yeah.
And when the contour lines look like the map has been shaded black, then that doesn't attract them. But me and Rod Dog, we saw those trails and we just wanted to do them to see what it would be like.
Yeah.
When we got out there and hiked those particular trails, it was like, oh man, would this make you want to talk about a trail race? This is a
Yeah.
place for a trail race like no other. And we had to actually get special permission. It had just been converted from a state forest to a park. And when we got there, we were surprised to see a single wide trailer with park rangers.
Yeah.
And then we had to get special permission to attempt that trail because they said, no, you can't go. Every time someone tries to do that trail, we have to go and rescue them. And we said, no, not us. We've got this. We know what we're doing. We convinced them to let us go. And then the next morning, when we finished the first Barkley loop, went right straight to the trailer and said, not only did we make it, we have friends who would really like to come and do this, but they don't want to backpack it. They'll want to run
Sure.
it. And thus the Barkley started. We didn't invent it, we discovered it.
Gotcha. So I know this just for me when I was kind of digging into Berkeley and was on the wait list and finally got in, that for me that was a huge point, like a defining moment, because that was when I actually picked up a map and compass for the very first time and learned how to orienteer. Um, and I think it's a skill that I loved learning, and I teach orienteering every year, at least a class or two. And I know there's, how important. I felt like if I didn't have that know-how of reading a map and trying to get from point A to point B, I would be miserably lost. So, would you say that's something that was a skill that when you guys were first running the loop or hiking the loop, that you were like, this is important, and the books, like how did the books come about?
We Rod Dog was in Boy Scouts with me starting at 12, the same age I started running. And we learned to use a map and compass to find our way places in Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
And by the time I want to say the oldest in Boy Scouts was like 15. The whole troop would go on backpacking trips, and there was a little group of us that were good, and they'd just show us the map and where they were going to camp and say, where would you want us to put you out?
Yeah.
And then we would pick a place. They would drop off our little group there with our backpacks and stuff, and we'd use the map and compass and find our own way. Up to the point where I always thought one of the highlights was we had to cross the Cumberland Escarpment, which is a 200-foot high sandstone wall that's goes from Alabama to Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And you look at the topo map and not only figure out what it shows you with the exact lines, but figure out this is a place where we will be able to cross the escarpment.
Yeah.
And when you get there, and yes, there it is. So, and then the first Barkley Loop. I mean, we always went everywhere just using topo maps to to pick our way and find our route. And that trail had not been anything done with it in like 40 years. So parts of pieces had been washed out in landslides. It was overgrown. So a lot of our time was spent finding the old trail and following it around. So it was, I had the unfortunate assumption before the first Barkley that this is something everybody knows how to do. And you find out, no, lots of people, they come in swearing they've done a loop, but they're telling you where they went. And no, you didn't.
Yeah. Yeah.
Among other things, you were behind me and never passed me. So you clearly did not do this loop.
Sure.
And so the books became a checkpoint. They're not hidden. You can't put them out in plain sight because that people know what they are now, and they would be stolen, or they would be mistaken for litter and carried off. So you put them where they're not visible, but if you can use the map and compass, the dot on the map is exactly where the book is.
Yeah.
And you can get within, say, a 10-foot square
distance
of the book. And then you look at the instructions, and when it says it's under the square rock next to a forked tree, well, there's only one square rock and one forked tree there.
Yeah.
If you're not quite as good of a navigator, maybe it's the size of a room, or maybe it's the size of a parking lot.
Yeah.
Or maybe you can just stay in Tennessee. Depending on how good you are with getting to a specific place on the map.
Yeah.
Is how easy the book is to see. So when someone says the books are hidden and they couldn't find them and they searched and searched, what they really are telling you is, I'm not very good with navigation. I have really crude skills with a map and compass, because when you look at a contour lines on a map, you should be able to visualize exactly what the surface of the land looks like.
Yeah.
And that way, even find features that aren't necessarily clear, what I was talking about before. If you're really good with a contour map,
Yeah.
You can read between the lines
Hmm.
and you can anticipate what it looks like.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I mean, I think it makes you think very differently. At least for me, I had done enough trail races, but when you're out in the woods and you're looking at those contour lines, it's, the path of least resistance is where you want to cross because suddenly you're on a
preach.
mountain,
And that's
you're
where
on a
the
hilltop.
woodsman skills come in, and people run
Yeah.
the Barkley and they can use the map and compass.
Yeah.
But when they say, well, you set a bearing and then you just plow through everything on your way, over rocks, through brush and briars. No, you look and see.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it's always a trail of some nature. Now, maybe it
Sure.
was an old logging road, maybe it was a trail that hasn't really been maintained since the 1930s. Um, Maybe it's just game trails.
Yeah.
But when you look and your eye can pick out the trail, then you go where that there's a lot less resistance. It's
Yeah.
not just a straight line, but it's usually going to be quicker because it's a way, it's a trail.
Sure.
Lots of people don't have an eye for seeing trails
Yeah.
because you do have to train your eye.
Yeah.
And there's nothing out there but rocks and trees.
Yeah.
Well, if
And the
all you see is
topography.
rocks and trees, you're going to have a really hard way to go.
Yeah. And the shift in topography too, when there's not a defined trail, is very subtle. So,
Define a defined trail. I I see trails out there if the leaves are packed, if
yeah.
it's a trail used by pigs or deer or the wildlife.
Yeah.
And you'll still have the higher stuff that'll be in your face. But down around the ground, it's clear.
Yeah. Yeah. And deer trails are very deceiving because there are times they look pretty clean. With Barkley, how much evolution have you seen from, let's say the first couple of years that you hosted the race? And then talk to me a little bit about the traditions, um, the lighting of the cigarettes, the taps.
Oh, we always lit the cigarette from the very first Barkley.
Yeah,
And taps came along when Carl's son Davy became the bugler for his Boy Scout troop.
sure.
And we said, "Hey, you could come and play taps every time someone drops." Because my kids and Carl's, they've gone to the Barkley since they were in diapers.
Yeah,
I mean, this has been always a part of their life
sure.
is going to the Barkley. So things just accrete. The license plates.
Yeah,
We would always have the runners bring some oddball item, just because the Barkley is kind of a whimsical race.
yeah,
And one year we said, everybody bring a license plate from your home state or country. And then we hung them all up and thought, boy, that looks so cool. We should
yeah.
continue to do that. Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time because who would ever think that one day you'd be looking at 500 license
I
plates?
was gonna say, how many license plates do you hold on to every single one of them?
Carl's got them now because we're transitioning the race over to Carl, and
Gotcha.
really he's doing all the heavy lifting now.
Yeah,
I just it seemed like something that should go on because
yeah,
it's really got a special place. And if you just wait until you die or something happens and you can't do it and someone else steps in, then there's a sudden jarring shift.
yeah,
But by gradually working Carl in uh, to taking over pieces and pieces. The race has just kind of shifted to more Carl's race than mine without really a noticeable change from year to year.
Yeah.
And we had to break it. His parents had taught him some really negative traits, empathy, kindness, things that have no useful function at something like the Barkley.
Yeah. Makes sense. With Sparkly, I have, I guess, two questions that I want to ask you. One, and I'm sure this has been asked before, the way Barkley is designed, do you think it's ever going to be a finishable race? And I know there's, every year since you've had the race, there's more and more people attempting and finishing, but is there ever going to come a time where we're going to see, let's say, 5, 6, 10 finishers?
We
Or
had 5 that one year, but there
yeah,
was a lot of unusual circumstances that went into that.
sure.
It's always been finishable.
You think?
It's I don't think anyone can count on finishing,
Right.
but a certain percentage of the runners always have. We usually have around 15. That's what you shoot for. About 15 people that really have a shot at the 100.
Yeah.
And then, but if anything goes wrong, if they make a mistake, the acceptable error rate is 0.
Yeah. Yeah. You're up against the clock. I felt like, some of the best athletes that have raced Barkley, that clock is not your friend.
No, it's one thing that everybody knows. If they have the experience to where they have a chance to finish, they also understand the way the clock works, that they're always either right on the edge or a little behind.
Yeah.
And you know that you need to finish the first loop with at least a couple of hours of cushion. You prefer to have 3. Something around 9 hours is perfect. 10 hours for the first loop, you can finish, but you're really against the gun. Even at 9 hours, it's close.
Yeah.
You get much under that, you've run so hard. Now your problem is, how do you not blow up?
Yeah.
And then when you go through the night loop, wherever that falls, you're going to be slower. You're in loop 2 is going to eat most
Yeah.
of your cushion, unless you run one where a lot of the night's in the first loop, and then you don't have a cushion. You have to go get it back during the day. So you get that second loop done, and a lot of your cushion's gone. On the loop 3, you have to go faster and get some cushion back, enough to the point where you can get to loop 4 get through
Yeah.
loop 4 and have any time left at all. And then at loop 5, pretty much everyone who's ever finished, I can only think of one that didn't, but you have to run loop 5 faster than loop 4. It's just going to be a requirement.
Yeah.
You get there under the 4 times 12, under the 48 hours, but the loop 4 is probably anywhere from 13 to 15 hours, maybe even more, and you're going to have to run just over 12 on that 5th loop to finish. So
Yeah.
that's a mental thing you see in regular races. People would not imagine running 80% of a race and then saying you have to run the last 20% of the event faster than you ran the
Then
20% you just finished,
Yeah.
sometimes by several hours. And they would all say, well, that's not possible.
Yeah.
Oh, sure it is. Your body will do what your mind tells it to do.
Yeah.
And this is where your body and your mind are at war, and your mind just has to take over and say, I know you don't like it,
Yeah.
And, and I'm aware you're injured, but this is what you have to do.
Sure. So, and I guess that's the difference between DNF and actually pushing yourself to at least try and get to that finish line.
When, among us, almost no one really knows how much they can do. Like I
Yeah.
talked about that the first Vol State.
Yeah.
And when I look back at it now and I think of the problems I had and the reasons that I had to quit, and it's like I would not, you wouldn't even think about it twice. But now part of it is because over these years, I've been able to do more and more beyond where I thought I could go. And
Yeah.
then all the races I direct, the people I see, some of these guys are so tough. Just have such mental discipline. Jasmine Paris,
Yeah.
what she did, there's almost no chance that there's anyone out there that's going to hear this who has gone as far beyond that their body says it's done just by sheer force of will than
Yeah.
what she did. And unless their life depended on it, which you know that if someone has run the hardest race that they've ever run and they think that they have left it all in the field and suddenly a car swerves off the road and comes your way, they would jump and run, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Because you actually have not used the last ounce of strength. You've used the last ounce of willpower.
Gotcha. Yeah. So with Barkley, I guess you see all sorts of athletes. What over the course of the years and your experience with it, what sort of athlete comes to the race? I mean, is it bravado? Is it ego? Is it just I want to see how far I can go? And then how? Because I feel like the roster of runners that Barkley selects or pulled in, there's a lot of game playing. You're pegging people. It's strategic.
It's the people who succeed, they relish game time.
Yeah.
I remember as an athlete playing sports or as a coach, especially like coaching basketball, it's hard to give up all the things you love, the squeaking shoes and the gym and the sound of the basketballs and all the drills and knowing the kids and watching, because in high school they come in as boys and they leave as young men, and then the game planning, sitting there and figuring out how you take the athletes you have and beat someone that has better personnel.
Yeah.
All those things. But the best part, the thing, game night, when you walk in there and you can taste the air, you feel like your senses are just lit up, and for 2 hours I will be operating at my peak ability, that I'll
Yeah.
be so focused and so concentrated. And then for these races, it's for a race like Barkley, it's a lot of the same thing.
Yeah.
You will be tested to your utmost. It doesn't matter if that utmost is finishing one loop, a fun run, or 5 laps. And it doesn't matter, you might not make it.
Yeah.
The odds are against you. The odds are great. You won't make it. But it's there, that challenge. The clock is always running. It's always right on your ass. You have every minute, you have to be on your game. You have
Yeah.
to know where you are. You can't turn your eyeballs up in your head and just run for even 5 minutes, because then you think, okay, where am I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-oh, I'm in real trouble.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm where I'm supposed to be.
Right. Yeah. And that's when you're horribly lost in the woods somewhere.
The
Um,
same feeling the transcon, I
yeah.
made for the journey running. There was this transition. You used to go and you're just out there relying on yourself, and you get, oh, there's a bridge out. Oh, there's this, there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a road I thought I could do. I can't do it. And you think, oh God, get the map out. Let's figure out what are we going to do.
Yeah.
But one day it comes the point where you see that obstacle and you can feel your blood coursing your veins. It's game time. This is where all the experience and all the skill, I'm going to get the map out, becomes, yes, this is
Yeah.
what I've been waiting for, the test.
Yeah.
So that when you come out on the other side, you hold your walking stick up over your head and go, yeah, and nothing will
For the
stop,
thrill of it.
and celebrate. Although, if you don't come out on the other side and celebrate, you've had that test, you've had
Yeah.
that experience, you've been pushed to go to the very end, and that little pain barrier that you can go to, you push it a little further out.
Yeah.
There's a little bit more that you can handle.
Yeah. That was my reasoning. Uh, with that, let me quickly
Did it
transition
seem like a really horrible idea when you were out there in the woods and you didn't know where you were and you
No,
didn't know if you'd ever get back?
no, it actually did not. It was very, this may sound weird, or maybe not, but it was very spiritual. As much time as I had spent in the woods orienteering and just getting lost, there was something very stabling about it when I didn't think about the clock. But then, when you start like, you're like, you can't fuck around here. It's like, I got to get back to the map. Like you said, that window of actually making it just starts, squeezing and narrowing on you. So, but as I said, it was beautiful out there. Just being able to take everything in and having that and being part of that history and, not many people get to say like, hey, I was there. And so I think that for me, that was my reasoning. That was my humbling factor with
and
Barkley.
and you be among the people who, when you hear someone finishes, can really appreciate,
Yes.
holy
Yeah.
shit,
Yeah.
look what they did.
Yeah, the enormity of that task is just, I mean, the constant weight of that is incredible, and then to make it to the finish is a beautiful thing. So I definitely appreciate that. Um, I would like to talk a little bit, just the inception of backyard ultras, and it's been such a huge boom. I race direct Queenie Backyard here in St. Louis. Um, what, how, and when that came about? Because it's, I would say, recently.
Yeah, 2011.
Yeah,
Um, we moved out to the farm at the end of 2009, and I built trails around it. In 2010, they were pretty poor. They were barely cut out. There was lots of stobs and lots of narrow places and lots of stuff that needed fixed.
sure.
And I wanted to hold an ultra on it, and we just did a regular timed event, but it's too small of an area. If
Yeah,
that it's about 150 acres. So it's just, I thought, it's lacking something. So I remembered the idea from when I was a runner in high school. I always thought what I wanted to have, because I wasn't that good. I said, but if we ran a 4-mile run every hour, until only one person was left, I could beat everybody.
Yeah.
And I remember that idea. And over all the years, with all the data I collected and all the experience with directing races, and I thought I could convert that to a set of rules that would make it, and of course, immediately realizing, oh, 4 miles an hour is 96 miles. That's stupid. Add 4 more miles over the
Right.
course of 24
Sure.
and make it an even 100. And then you structure it where that, yeah, the 4.1667 miles an hour, people can do that for a long time, but they can't do it forever. If you go, I've seen people try to do 6 miles in an hour and a half. Well, the runners wear out too soon.
Yeah.
Or 2 miles every 30 minutes. Well, now you don't have enough time between loops to take care of your basic essentials. The hour and the four miles really works out right. You don't have an excess of time,
Right.
but you can get everything done. And you don't get so tired that, oh, I can't do another 4 miles an hour. And the idea is for it to be, the course to be easy enough that your mind is what defeats you.
Yeah.
Now you've got it down purely something your body can do indefinitely if your mind can make it.
Yeah.
And
Well, the distance is it's so in your head, as you said, it's easy, but as time wears out or wears on you, it has its challenges. And I've seen athletes go into 60 hours at Queenie last year, and I mean it's incredible to watch how much you can will yourself to do and move.
the experience at Biggs every year is just astounding.
Yeah.
To see people run for basically 5 days.
Yeah, that was crazy. I don't think I can stay up for that long.
I was trying to think what's in a 500-mile circle of St. Louis. Hell, most places are far in that. Like running from St. Louis to Omaha.
Yeah, a lot of times I've seen runners go. I mean, the easiest one is Cape Girardeau, from St. Louis. I think it rounds up to about 100 miles. I've seen, friends that I have either run it or biked it. So with Biggs and how insane it was this year, uh, I I would like to just pick your brain on media coverage. And I know there's pros and cons to media coverage, especially with events like Barkley, where, as you said, it's a whimsical, what's your stance on that? Like, are you torn? Are you in the middle? Or are you, with
A
all your
lot of
background?
a lot of people follow the Barkley
Yeah,
and take a great interest in it. And the media, yeah, it was a lot easier when there was no media there. But the I look at the Barkley as being kind of a representative for the wilderness areas. We
yeah,
don't have much wilderness left. There's not many places that you go. The places that we used to backpack when I was a kid, they're either a park or they're gone.
yeah,
And so there always is pressure for places that are still remain as wilderness areas that, there's a lot of board feet of timber there. There's still minerals in the earth that could be extracted. You could pave roads to all of it so that people in golf carts could ride to all the features. And there's always pressure to eliminate the wilderness areas, and they need a constituency. but because, say, what we do at the Barkley doesn't really appeal when you look at the population in general,
Yeah.
not a very high percentage of people have the least desire. But the media coverage gives them an interest in it. They see it as something that has value. And so when someone comes up and they say, yeah, we're having there's a debate over whether or not to harvest the timber. There's a debate over whether or not to pave the Jeep road to the Fartar or to, open it up for people to put houses in there. That they say, no, they see it as having value. So the media, they tell the story. They're the ones that make the people in the outside world recognize that there's value in wilderness, even if they personally don't have the desire to do like you did and be out there where, hey, I'm just in the woods.
Yeah.
I'll only get out if I can get myself out.
Like,
and that's such a freedom. I'm not connected to any electronics. I don't
no.
have a GPS. I just have my wits, my skill, my physical ability.
Yeah. It's raw. It's very raw.
And that's freedom.
Yeah.
When you stick that phone in your pocket, you're not free anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I absolutely agree. I mean, I have this horrible habit when I run, I don't take my phone and I don't have anything linked to my watch, so no notifications, nothing. It's just time in the wilderness, just checking out.
It's the way it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, with uh, so would you say media coverage has enhanced I mean, it has obviously brought the event to the masses, but it has also, I mean, it almost creates a frenzy um, around the event. I mean, do you think it's absolutely needed, or where do you see that future? Like, are you pro, or are you kind of
I
understanding?
I think it serves a purpose to be a spokesman for wilderness areas. And
Yeah,
if that creates some inconveniences for us in putting on the race, it's worth a little inconvenience to do it.
sure.
The me we treat the media with respect. They're there to do a job, and their job is also important. And they've always been really pretty good to us. They haven't
Yeah,
tried to, you know, most of the time, if you treat
yeah,
people fair, they treat you fair.
sure. Um, Briefly talk to me about women in ultra running from, I'm assuming, when you first started running, and you know you've probably seen a huge transition. Um, do you have like that evolution, and would you say the best performances from female athletes are yet to come?
Um, well, there's physiological differences that will, and then any event that is based on strength or speed,
Yeah,
women won't be able to do as well. And I think it's obvious when you look at the numbers that a smaller percentage of women hunger for that same kind of challenge. I mean,
yeah,
it's not all men either, but it's a smaller percentage in women, whether
sure.
that's inherent or, whether that's nature or nurture. Who knows? I'm not one to judge.
Yeah,
Uh, I can't ever really know how women perceive the world
something.
because I'm not a woman. And
Yeah,
but I'm sure that like everybody else, there's a wide range.
yeah,
The backyard is fascinating in that women are perfectly capable of competing on an even level with men because it's not reliant on speed or strength. It really just surely comes down to how far will your mind make your body go.
Yeah.
And so in backyard races that don't have a women's division, women win a slightly larger percentage of the races than their percentage of the participants.
Gotcha.
But if you have a women's division, they never win.
Yeah. And I remember that conversation with you over email where,
It
yeah,
make
having that division does, you
it's
do drop.
the same rationale as we added the fun run to the Barkley.
Yeah.
The fun run is not there as a kindness to the runners. If there was no fun run, we would have more 100-mile finishers than we have. The
Yeah.
fun run makes it harder because you get to the fun run and all these people are saying, congratulations, you got a fun run. You did it. I feel ill when I see them, you won the women's division.
Yeah.
That's like sabotage. You're cutting their legs out from under them because it requires all of their focus and concentration to continue.
Yeah.
You notice that, so we have very few women that make the world championship,
Yeah.
but those four were there till the very end.
Yeah.
I mean, and they were equally as competitive as the men right until the end. There's a smaller number, so there's less likelihood one will finish first. But Maggie Guterl won the
Yeah.
overall over all the men in 2019.
Yeah. That was an incredible performance.
And it can be done.
Yeah.
And so I know I'll be pilloried for this, but I'm really opposed to women's division, women's records, anything you tell them that is going to take away from their motivation to continue.
Yeah.
But again, I'm thinking if I'm a woman, I want to beat the men. That would
Yeah.
be better
Yeah.
than beating all the other women.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
and I
No, I mean,
know that some women do feel exactly that way.
yeah, the
They
driving
want to
factor.
beat the men more than they want to beat the women because they're men.
Right. Um,
Stupid, worthless male mammals.
I am going to go through a couple of quick rapid fire questions for you. Um, Most underrated piece of gear that you own.
Do you know how little gear I own?
What's the one thing you've owned for the last 30 years?
uh, I can't think of anything. I actually, other shoes would have to be the only thing because everything other than my shoes is hand-me-downs from my real clothing.
Yeah. What about favorite post-race meal? Is there a go-to?
Something I've never had before. I love to eat, and I just posted a picture of a meal. I went to a Cuban restaurant and ordered something that I'd never had because I
Yeah.
didn't know what it was. It turned out to be a whole fish that had been fried intact, and I think it's the best fish I ever ate.
Yeah.
Now, I don't
Yeah.
know if it's that fish or that restaurant, but it was incredibly good.
Probably just the experience of trying something new.
I like different food.
Yeah. Um, if you were to recommend a book for race directors to read, do you have a favorite book where you're like, this is a must read?
Yes, but it's one of the few books I know by name. Annals of a Former World,
Okay.
or Annals of the Former World. And the guy's name, geez, I actually know this author. Anyway, it's an enormous book about geology,
Okay.
but it's really a good book.
Yeah. So what is it about that book that just is, enamoring? to you?
Uh, the guy's way of describing how it goes around the whole country, and it talks about how the different parts of the North America have formed.
Yeah,
It was a real good foundation for using my journey runs
sure.
across the country to really see the intricate geology that this country is made up of so many relatively small features,
Yeah.
but all formed in different ways at different times.
Now, talk to me or tell me if, I guess the question for you is, if you had to pick a race to run between Barkley or Big, which one would you choose?
Well, I would pick Hots because you don't know the
Yeah,
mystery of getting on a bus and thinking they're going to drive me 400 miles from here and dump me out like an unwanted puppy. And then I have to totally rely on myself to cover 400 miles of unfamiliar terrain.
yeah,
You give them a map with a course that can be done.
yeah,
We go through and don't present them with, you know, unless there's a bridge out
yeah,
or
yeah.
something
I
we
mean, those
can't
are
control.
unknowns. Yeah, the unknown factors
But
that,
yeah, getting on that bus and then knowing that I have to rely on the full skill set to get back.
yeah, makes sense. Is there an event that exists in present day that you would have really liked to have run?
All of them. Yeah, what is the what are the parameters? I'd like to have had the ability to run the Olympic marathon or
Yeah,
the Olympic 10,000
yeah,
or hell, the Olympic 100.
yeah,
Although I
yeah,
think the longer events are more fun because I'm familiar with the things that are involved in them.
sure. Um, with that, I guess before we wrap up things, this is kind of a multi-layer question for you, and it's about your legacy and the future. Um, I guess I would like to talk about your induction into the American Ultra Running Hall of Fame. What was that moment like for you?
That was a big surprise because I didn't, I never got out there and really did anything great. But man, at the same time, you really feel proud that people thought that that I did deserve it, and we'll keep the truth between us.
I wouldn't say you didn't do anything. I mean, the mythology around all the races and it's your legacy. Do you ever sit and just take a moment and think about that, or is it always just this is just something I'm doing and there's not a lot of
Well, I think when you're done, when your time comes, it's a pretty short period of time before no one remembers who you were.
yeah, I would agree.
I'm when you look at there's contenders who, if they last long enough, may match the scale of her achievements. But look at Ann Trayson.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you know how many people don't even know who she is? And she was amazing. I
Incredible, yeah,
mean, and for an incredibly long career
yeah,
at such a high level. And then you also look at from the volunteer coaching at the high school
yeah,
when I was there for so long that the kids and parents thought I came with the school. At the end, there were kids in the program that I had coached their grandfather when he was a little kid.
right.
And
Uh,
but when your last year comes, and it was time
Yeah.
to let someone else's turn. In 4 years, there's no one there that remembers you.
Yeah.
It was as if you never existed. And when you show up to watch a game, the current people, the parents or the kids, they just see, who are those old people up in the stands? Well, yeah, he used to coach here.
Yeah. Yeah. So if, again, just thinking back to, what you have been able to create, what do you think or hope people would say about you 50 years from now? Just a hypothetical. Like,
Well,
how would you
I
like?
know what they'll say. Who the hell was that? What I hope
No, no,
is
no.
that, like the Barkley, that I pass it on, and that it can, although everything has to constantly adapt to the time,
Yeah, yeah,
that spirit, that belief will last. It would be nice if the backyards went beyond and wasn't just a fad, just because that they bring such a positive. They have so many of the positive aspects of sports and competition,
yeah,
that it's been all designed and put together where that it's almost like a team event.
yeah,
All the entrants are on the same team, and they count on each other.
sure.
You can't do well unless the other guy you're competing with does well, and you
Yeah,
spend this time in a combined effort to where, when the last guy quits and the last guy is left, it's sad. They're both
yeah,
sad. They
yeah,
hug, they shake hands because they're in it together. And I would like to leave something that brings people together. And it really isn't important if anyone ever remembers who started it or not.
yeah. Well, I think backyard, like you, it's one of the most unique events that I race direct, and I'm glad to have an opportunity to do it. And it's one of those events where I always feel like you're only as good as your competition. Always,
That's
like,
true of every event, but it's codified in the backyard.
exactly.
If
Yes.
you are, the when we held the bigs, the Las Vegas odds for the winner
Yeah,
was that he would win by an hour.
yeah,
And if you took that bet, you're a fool, because he was going to win by an hour.
yeah,
And the other thing that was really unexpected, because I thought it would be a hard way to cover distance, is that so many people go further than they ever thought they could.
yeah,
And so many people get those landmarks in Europe and most of the world, the 100 kilometers, the 15 laps for 100K.
yeah,
When we see the results come in race after race, there's always a clump at 15 hours.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
If Unless it's in the US, and then the US, there might not be anybody stop at 15. But what you have worldwide is, after 20, fewer and fewer people quit each hour. Hardly anyone will ever quit on 22 or 23.
Yeah,
Then there's a mass at 24. And those are people getting that 24-hour 100,
100. Yeah, yeah.
which
I see that. Yeah,
runners love magic numbers. And
yeah,
that's a magic number. That's really a good
yeah,
achievement for pretty much everybody.
yeah. And I think
So,
backyard it's an excellent race for PRs.
yeah,
It
for
is.
distance.
Yeah, yeah, and I see that every year where somebody has only ever run a 50K and then they were able to get to a 50-mile mark, and that was an achievement. The PR bell is awesome. Every time it goes off, it's like, okay, you know.
It's like winning your age group, except the same people don't win every week.
Yeah, yeah, that's correct. Well, with this, I would like to wrap up and thank you so much for the stories, the wisdom, and the reminder that limits are often an illusion. Um, and
You can do more than you think you can.
yep, I agree. And hopefully, I will see you in St. Louis before too long at some point. Offer for visiting St. Louis for Queenie is on the table. If you decide to come start the race for us in March, you'll have a place to
Do I
stay.
have to ring the bell every hour?
No, you'll just need to
Oh,
start the race for me. Start the race and you can be on your way.
if you ring the bell once, you have to ring it every time. That was my
Whatever.
own personal best this year at Biggs, and I'm really
Yeah,
proud. 114 consecutive hours ringing the bell.
I know. It's just insane that time is crazy. But thank you again. And thanks to everyone for tuning in to today's episode. For more information about the TURD podcast, visit our website on terraintrailrunners.com. That's runners with an S. Or give us a follow on our social media channels. Until next time, don't forget to say thanks to the folks behind the scenes that make the races happen and the race directors who thrive on that love.